everybody, and welcome back. We are live from Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And as you guys may know, Timeout Talks is brought to you by Chase and Thrills Custom T-shirts and accessories, the Ice Shaker, and we are also sponsored by Make It Mac. As me and Ben were talking on the pre-show, we've got a lot on the docket for tonight's show. We're going to talk some UFC, of course. We've got a lot of UFC stuff out there for you guys. We've got a new lightweight champion, so UFC 298 recap. Also, I completely forgot, we've got an interesting fight night coming up February 24th, this Saturday, that we will talk about as well. Plus, Conor McGregor got called out on a WWE Monday Night Raw live show last night. We'll talk about that, some of our thoughts on that as well. Of course, we're going to get to the Bruins, who they were able to outlast the Stars in a shootout yesterday evening, but they've lost 4 of their last 5, Ben. Should we worry? And of course, we'll get to the NBA All-Star Weekend and your comments as usual. But Ben, such a good weekend in the UFC. I thought some of these fights were pretty good. We've got a new champion, my boy, and your boy too, Volk. Ben, I know you were one off of that parlay. I mean, I was telling Ben, Katrina literally nailed more of the parlay than I did. I mean, and she doesn't even watch. I was close, but to hit my parlay, didn't. It was only $2, but still, Ben, just a lot of shocks in this past weekend. My boy Whitaker getting the dub, but we've got a new champion, and it's kind of got me wondering what's next for Volk.
Yeah, he's done, Josh. He's done. It's over. One of the greatest runs ever. As you mentioned, yeah, hey, both our boys. I loved them. I might have went a little too heavy on them. Maybe I should have thrown a little Taporia, and they're not gonna lie. The age difference, you could just see it, Josh, and that's where more so I'm coming from. I think it's over for him. He just hit this point, especially after the Islam knockout. He was he wasn't invincible before that, but he was one of the best ever, and he got that shot against Islam to see who was the best pound for pound. He took him pretty far. The first time obviously went the distance, which led to that rematch, but that knockout just kind of he hasn't been same since that knockout. And Taporia is just on a man on a mission. I think Jimmy said it. He was kind of reminded him of the young Conor McGregor days. When Conor was rising up to be the eventual champion, and just kind of got that shock when, everyone kind of thought he was going to get that loss. But no, he just kept going undefeated, and it's sort of a similar path to Taporia right now. And I could see it. So I got to give Jimmy the credit where it's due. I should have listened to him on that one. And Josh, just 35-year-old fighters. This is the stat I got. I mean, 35-year-old fighters in the last 18 fights, last 18 championship fights, 1-17. So I think we should have seen the writing on the wall there. Taporia was just too young, too fast for him. Volk had a great first round, and then you just saw the power from Taporia. He was just gonna. I think Volk was gonna go to 5 rounds. It didn't look like it. And Taporia, just hats off to him, Josh. It was a tough one, and I know we said we're still gonna discuss where Volk's gonna go, but I'm excited to see where Taporia is gonna go. I know you mentioned the WWE call out, but Taporia also called out McGregor. I'm not really sure that call out doesn't really make any sense. I'd like to see Taporia fight someone else.
It was actually Chandler. Michael Chandler called him out.
Oh, but Taporia called him out too after. No,
Taporia
called him out after the UFC one too. No, after his one. That's why I was saying there's a couple call outs for McGregor this weekend. I was just kind of confused why he was calling out McGregor. I don't know. Maybe just McGregor's a legend over there. He wants to just sort of get a nice little pay-per-view match, something like that, Josh. But I'm excited to see where Taporia is going to go. I mean, that's just a whole new. I mean, folks dominated that division for so long now, so it's nice to see a little change in there, even though. He's all of our boys. I think everybody was rooting for Volk in that one. I don't want to just keep giving to me and Josh. I think everybody's rooting for him. Like I said, one of the greatest fighters ever to be in the UFC. See, everyone calls him out. Mainly what Jimmy said, the money reasons. Taporia wants that big money fights. It's just sort of his big money one. He's obviously had some better fights to get him to this level, but that was sort of his big cash one. Now Taporia is a household name. We got to that one too, Camp. We can't hurt anyone's parlays. It was a tough one. Actually, Josh. I mean, every single favorite one on that card except that last dog. So I mean, if you just wanted to click all the favorites except that last one, you would have been a pretty rich man or woman. But I think for Volk, just getting back to the original question, I think it's done. I think he's going to be, chasing some cash fights, maybe chasing some legends, just sort of get the matchup for him. That's how he's going to get the views now. I think his championship days are unfortunately over, Josh, but one of the best runs we've ever seen. So, I give him hats off to him for that. And I'm going to be sad. He was my favorite fighter. He's my favorite fighter. I'm not going to, I'm not totally getting rid of him, Josh. I'm going to have to find a new one. Maybe Taboria.
One comes in, one comes out. And yeah, I mean, it's 27 years old. I mean, this guy's barely older than us. He's still got plenty of ways to go in the UFC. We also saw Ian Gary. I mean, he's just. I took Jeff Neal for the odds. I mean, I did a $2 parlay there, Cam. I know he's commenting there. It was $2. It was free money on Fliff. Shout out Fliff. You get a free dollar every day. Quick little sponsor there for Flip. But it was two free dollars, whatever. It was $2 to win 50. Took a big swing. Got hit on the Robert Whitaker, and I believe I actually had Amanda Lemos winning as well. I added her in there pretty late, but I had her winning that, so I got that one. But I was wrong on a couple. Shout out Ian Gary. He just continues to win. Marab. A lot of people feeling. Watch out, Sean O'Malley. I know James has said that himself. That's a matchup that Sean O'Malley would not want. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's kind of, it seems like in my biggest thing, just overall here with the UFC. I mean, I think you hit it on the nail here, James as well, talking about the money with Conor McGregor. I mean, this guy, he's marketable. He brings in the fans, and he is money. But he's not reliable within the last 2 years. I mean, I've recently started really getting into the UFC, watching a lot of the cards. I mean, I'm even watching this fight night that's coming up that we're going to be previewing a little bit. That's how much I'm actually into it now. But, I mean, this guy, I'm sick of hearing about it, Ben. I mean, I know he's had his chances, and he's had plenty. He is the biggest UFC star of all time. Hands down, biggest money draw. I will give him that. I will give him his flowers for that. But it's to the point where, when are we going to see this matchup? I mean, we've got a WWE event, which WWE and UFC, both owned by TKO. We've got a UFC fighter on a Monday Night Raw calling him out. You got Dana White saying, yeah, I mean, he's basically bigger than we are now. It's just about money to try and get him in here. It's not about the previous allegations with the steroids and, the drug screenings and stuff like that. I know that was kind of an issue with trying to get him back in the octagon. But now it's just bigger than that. I think egos are in the way. I think, Ben, I think that this would be a great fight, Michael Chandler and him. I actually think that he could win this fight based off what I've seen from Michael Chandler. I do. Maybe I have my hopes up. Maybe I'm taking the old horse, but guess what? I think he has a chance. It's just, when are we going to see it, Ben? James has a very, very valid point. I mean, he has an interesting little theory. I'll throw this one out here and see what you think. And hey, it might be right. I think it's going to be leaning towards this time. But at first we were told maybe 300, then maybe March, the end of last year. It's just, when is this fight going to happen? And James threw out a nice little interesting kind of prediction here saying WrestleMania. Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor, they're going to make an announcement on WrestleMania, which is April 6th or 7th, I'm assuming one of those nights, that they will fight in the fall. That was James's little prediction. We're starting to slowly see them merge here. I know I'm not trying to talk too much WWE, but it was just interesting that Michael Chandler was at, I know WWE was in Anaheim, a lot of shareholders at TKO and the board of Endeavor at that Anaheim event. Just interesting to see that kind of happen, throwing in a little plug for it. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to see. And I mean, Ben, this fight, if this fight doesn't happen this fall, which I mean, we've already been pushing it for almost a year at that point, it's just never going to happen.
Hey, Josh, I mean, to be honest, I completely forgot about it. I know we were talking a little pre-show about it, but I just completely fell off my radar. I kind of lost interest for this one. I mean, this is supposed to be an Ultimate Fighter fight. I mean, this is supposed to conclude the series, and obviously, Jimmy, and you pointed out too, Connor, drug tests, this whole ordeal, then taking steroids, getting ready for the movie. Now he looks ripped. He went through all that ordeal. I don't know what that was. And now the fight was off, and now we're kind of just getting this momentum for it. And I mean, I hate to keep giving Jimmy credit for that one, but I mean, WrestleMania, that would be I mean, it's the biggest sporting event, outside the Super Bowl and everything. It's sort of just biggest marketing event ever, in the sports in all sports right now. So I mean, if you want to get that fight out, it's the great one, great event to pick. I know Conor McGregor's got the WWE ties already, and Chandler's already planned to get with the call out. So good business move by them if this is the move. Good sort of strategy from them. But I'm kind of just kind of done with this one, Josh. This fight. I mean, obviously, listen. Once it starts to get momentum again, I'll pick it up a little, and I'll obviously watch it. But I was really looking forward to it at the end of this series. Those guys just face off, and now it's just kind of getting dragged out. And Chandler's a great guy. Chandler's a great fight to watch too. But he doesn't really do it for me at this point. It's just I was just lost all its steam for me. It needs to pick it back up. They need to do something for it. And I don't mind the WWE talk, Josh. Rob came in here too. I'm kind of agreeing with Rob's comments. I don't really watch it too much now. But hopefully we got Josh on the UFC train too. That was another one from Rob. Hopefully we got Josh a little more on the UFC train. And Rob saying he gave you all the picks, Josh. I don't believe that. I don't know if I believe that one, but I think ultimately with this McGregor one, I gotta see it to believe it. He's just been talking too much. And I just lost the interest at this point. I need to see him out there. No more. Give me a couple more promos and stuff, but I need to see him out there against Chandler. They just need to get out there and do it already. But Ian Gary, going back to this one, Josh, solid fight, but I know people are kind of crapping I'm on for it, but hey, you got the win. That's a tough fight, Jeff Neal. You got to take those odds too. I would plus 3 something. That's a stab you got to take. So I respect that one from Josh's parlay. But Ian Gary, he's passing every test. I mean, I can't complain too much about that. He's still undefeated. He's passing every test. He's beating every opponent they put out for him. So another guy, just a guy, give him credit where it's due, and still undefeated. So I can't really say too much about him. He's doing his job out there. I'm just excited for his next opponent. Let's see where he goes next.
100%. I mean, this is another guy. Talk about those young fighters that are kind of just taking over. It is what it is for the UFC right now in terms of Conor McGregor. Who knows when he's going to show up? It's just I don't know at this point. I don't know what Rob's talking about.
And now he's giving you credit. I think he's taking it back. He's
Okay,
taking it back for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I think him and Cam are missing the point. I didn't place on DraftKings. I am using free dollars, and I just took a random stab at it for good odds. Because if I took all the favorites, I would have won $2 to win. I mean, I would have won. Would have been 2 to win 7. So, I mean, I don't know. But aside from that, Ben, we've got an interesting little fight night coming up this weekend. We've got Moreno versus Royval 2. We've got Ortega, Yair Rodriguez. We've also got Raul Rojas Jr. on the card as well.
Okay.
So a couple names there that I know in the UFC world. This will be an interesting one. This is Saturday night. Ben, walk us through this. I mean, who do you like for this one? The main event here, the co-main event, Yair, Ortega. That's a big fight. I know some people thinking that is pretty much a number one contender match.
Yeah.
And then you've got Moreno and Royval. Who are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm taking this is an easy one, Josh, for me. I'm taking Yair and Moreno. Listen, I got to back the Mexican fighters. I believe I'm going to take a stab at it. I'm pretty sure it's in Mexico. I'm pretty sure it's in that vicinity. There's just a large number of Mexican fighters on here, so that's what they usually do. It might be vicinity near it. I don't know, but I'm back in Mexico in this one, Josh. That's what I'm doing. Raul Rojas, he's getting back on the win column too. He's fighting Ricky Turquoise. This is a setup fight, Josh. This is a setup fight. Just get him back on his winning ways.
Wow.
Yeah, no offense to Ricky Turquoise, but he's not the best fighter out there. So I see what the UFC is doing with that one. But just another great. These next couple of weeks, I think Josh are going to be a couple great UFC ones. Sort of help us out missing. I'm just still reading Rob's comments. I think it's just going to be a couple great UFC weeks. Just sort of help us get rid of the football nostalgia. We're missing football already, so it's going to help us get through some of these moments. But I'm taking those two favorites in that one, Josh. The UFC 299 is right around the corner too. But I think overall, there's a couple other good ones in this card. But UFC 299, that's what I'm looking forward to as the main one. next, and I got to shout out Chi too. I mean, she wished Stern won too in that one. And the last thought on this previous card, Marab is going to be the next champ. Josh Marab, he's going to beat up Sean. Marab's the best bantamweight out there. He's just made easy work of Cejudo, whatever his name is, Henry Cejudo. I always can butcher his name, but
Henry Cejudo,
whatever. Oh yeah, he's I don't want to keep butchering it for him. He's a great wrestler and everything. Past champ, but it's keywords of past. And I think Marab's the future in that division. So I'm telling you, Marab. I think you kind of alluded to it too. I think if he gets his that Sugar Sean matchup, it's over. I'm kind of confused too when they haven't given it to him. He's the number 2 contender, so he's been the number 2 contender for a while. So I'm kind of confused, what this UFC is doing. I think they're trying to just keep Sugar Sean in the title, not as much in the title contention as they can. But next couple of weeks, looking for great UFC and UFC 299. Got Josh's boy on there too. I know we mentioned Sugar Sean already, but I got Dustin Poirier going up against my guy Saint Denis. So back in Saint Denis all the way. I'm just saying it right here. 3 weeks out, Josh. Give me Saint Denis every day.
100%. Interesting one. I mean, I you know who I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Poirier, and this, I know I'm gonna get some slack for it, but I think 299 is it's more interesting to me than 300. I mean, I'm a hater. Call me a hater, but I mean, just looking at this card, I mean, Michael Venom Pate, I am ecstatic for him. Gilbert Burns, Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, I've been on his hype train for the last 2 or 3 fights since I joined the UFC. Peter Yan, who arguably, I mean, I know in one of the fights, I want to say, who was it against? Was it against Sean O'Malley, I believe?
Yeah, Sean
O'Malley. It was a close one in that. So
close.
Kevin Holland as well. I mean, I'm going to be loving to see what he's going to throw at Michael Page. You know he's going to be jawing at him. So, and you mentioned my guy, Dustin the Diamond, your boy there, St. Denis. Sean O'Malley, Cheeto, Marlon Vera. I actually think I actually like that fight as well. So, I mean, if you're a Sean O'Malley fan, I think you should.
Melodon too, Josh.
Yeah, it's
Melodon going against Burns. That's low key one of the best fights on that card. Burns versus him. That's going to be a brawl. Sorry to catch you up too, but I want to throw in there Jonathan Almeida. I mean, he's the headliner. Watch out for that name. He's the headlining. Future. He's in the heavyweight. Probably the top prelim card fight. It's gonna be the future heavyweight champ. And I already throw it out there. Jonathan Almeida, remember the name. He's been climbing up the rankings. He's going to put on a show. He's a wrestler, Josh. He's a wrestler heavyweight. Haven't seen one of those in a while. This guy throws around 300-pound guys like it's easy. So this guy is like the next. This guy's going to be the next real deal. So I think that card. I know you said people are catching, giving you some flack for that, but I'm going to have to back you on that too. I think 299 is overall. Look at it right now. You never know what people pulling out and whatnot. That's always. A little tough with UFC, but I think right now UFC 299 is by far better than 300. 300's got some great matchups. Aljamain's on there against Calvin Gator, I should say. But I think 299 is just too stacked right now.
Oh, 100%. I mean, looking at the co-mains compared to the main events, 299 just does it for me, Ben. I think that one is going to be the more interesting one, but as I mentioned, watch this fight night this weekend. It'll be a good one. Got some good names there in that, and potential. I mean, we asked the question of what's next for Ilya, what's next for Volk. Maybe they do a rematch, or maybe this winner this weekend gets that chance. Maybe Yair gets his chance, or maybe it's Ortega who gets his chance at Tapora, Ben's guy, or should say newly crowned, potentially newly crowned.
I'm trying to find someone else.
There. He's trying to find.
I don't want to just jump right to him, Josh. Maybe Marab. I'm digging what I saw from Marab. Like I said, I'm backing him for the next bantamweight champ. He just put on a show, so it might be Marab.
Oh, 100%. Check that one out. That is this Saturday. Got 2 ones. Got a WWE pay-per-view and a UFC pay-per-view this Saturday. So a quick little plug there. But we're switching tunes, and we're switching tunes to an interesting little storyline here. The Bruins were able to outlast the Stars last evening 4-3. However, Ben, they have lost 4 of their last 5 games. After last game, they've lost 4 in a row. Kind of on a losing skid here. They've got teams like the Panthers trailing, not by much. Panthers are literally on a 9-game, have won 9 out of their last 10. They eliminated us from the playoffs last year. We've got some people talking, saying, maybe the Bruins are kind of flaming out at a bad time here. They kind of put all the chips in early in the season, and now this is the real Bruins we're seeing. Ben, how concerned should we be with the Bruins? And are you worried about the Florida Panthers?
I'm always worried about the Panthers, Josh, after last year. Just pretty demoralizing. Kind of get those same vibes as that former back in the day against the Flyers. Losing that 3-0 lead. I just want to see him again and just kind of try to put that history to bed. But no, I'm not too worried about this team. Like we've been mentioning, I think throughout this whole season, playing with house money. Nobody really expected, us to do too well. We had some talent and everything. Still had key pieces. Marchand and elite goaltending. We still have some core guys over there. I know losing Bergeron was losing Bergeron, just the captain for so many years, and people can argue whether he was the captain over Chara, yada yada yada. But he was instrumental to this. He was the foundation of this team. He made this team run well. And losing Krejci too. I know we hadn't had him for a year, but still Krejci coming back, and they're just kind of giving nice reassurance to this team with some veteran leadership. And just losing two poor guys. It was just a little, we wanted to see where this team was going to go, how they're going to come out. I think they exceeded expectations in the beginning, and now they're kind of coming back down to earth. But as you mentioned, you're still half a game above the Panthers. I know it just happened, but still contending for the first. That's very impressive. A lot better than most teams that would be in sort of a transition phase. And I think we're just going through some of these skits, so I'm not worried. I like what I saw from the fourth line that Stars game, contributing on those first two goals. We just need that depth from those later lines because we know what we're going to get from the star power and the Marchands and the Pasternaks. We know what we're going to get from those guys. We just need that and solid goaltending. From Swayman. 43 saves, stopping 8 out of 9 in the shootout, coming up clutch when he needed to. So. We just need those three things. We need, the depth scoring, because we're going to get those scores regularly, and we just need the goal tending to be right there. So I'm excited. I'm not too worried. It's just we're going to go through some of these skids, Josh. I'm not pushing the panic button on this team, but we're still very far ahead in the standings. Not very far, but still substantial. I'd like to see what we just do for going forward. Let's get back on track. And just see what we got going on. So I'm liking this Bruins team. Hey, I just want to shout out Marchand too. It's game for 1,000th game. Give him a nice little tribute. So I just love to see Marchand get that going. He deserves it. Josh deserves it. So shout out to Marchand.
100%. 1,000th career game. Captain, our new captain there in Marchand, and we've got Jeff Warren coming in with a couple comments here, and an interesting one that's going to spark up a little bit more conversation. But we've got Jeff. I'd rather the Bruins have a lackluster regular season and turn it on in the playoffs. Better chances than last year. Then he followed it up with, and Bergie's coming back. I know we've talked about this a couple months ago. We previewed it. I was kind of buying into it. I don't think that that's going to happen. But on the other point here to the Bruins, I couldn't agree with Jeff anymore, and I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think right now, moving forward is really what we're going to be able to tell from the Bruins. It's kind of that, we're getting ready for the trade deadline. We passed this NHL and NBA All-Star weekend, so, the seasons are pretty much on par with each other, and I think, as you mentioned, you look at the standings, we still see that the Bruins are the number one in the Eastern Conference. They're neck and neck with teams like the Rangers. We've even got the Flyers starting to kind of gain some traction here. You look at the Panthers as well. And I think one of the biggest things for the Bruins moving forward is just what are they going to do in the playoffs? Which Bruins team are we going to see that shows up? Personally, as Jeff mentioned, as you mentioned, I'd like to see the Bruins just be consistent. These next 4 games are really going to be telling, Ben. Like I said, in their last 10 games, they've gone 4-4-2. But in their last 5 games, they've lost 4 of their last 5. And a lot of these games that they are losing or winning are close games that have been determined by a goal or a shootout shot. Other than that, Ben, they've got an interesting little docket here. Tomorrow, tough one. Tough meaning back-to-back here. They go tomorrow on the road against Edmonton, Then they play the Flames on Thursday, followed by the Canucks on Saturday and the Kraken on Monday. 4 little away game stretch there for the Bruins. And
Road trip.
I don't think Bergeron's going to be back, but I do think that the Bruins will be back in the sense that they will be okay. They'll slide into a top 3 seed or standing slot, whatever you want to call it, in the playoffs. But moving forward, I just kind of want to see them gain some traction here, Ben. Win 3 of their next 4, maybe drop 1. I know it's a tough little road stand coming up here, but I'd like to see a little bit more out of the Bruins, and a tiny bit of me has me thinking maybe we started off a little too hot at the beginning. But as you mentioned, as Jeff mentioned, I like our chances moving forward. Just a little bit of worry in my mind for the Bruins.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'll give you that too, Josh. Just a little bit, just because of the youth. But I'm going to agree too. That Bergeron's. I don't think he's coming back. I like to see. Just let these young guys do it, Jeff. Just let the young guys have their run, get their experience. Let Bergeron sit. He's done so much for us. I think he's just done. He's going to wrap it up. So let these young guys have their time to shine. They're doing a pretty good job. So as Nick DeVos said, yeah, maybe that's always going to be good. Get some more shots than that. Just get some more activity up front. That's always good. So I mean, it's just a lot of things for the Bruins. It just, I like that Stars win. Obviously, get some confidence before this road trip, because that's what sort of kills young teams. These road trips, they get bogged down. That record starts to dip a little off these road trips. But I think they've had a fair share. They've done decent this year. They haven't been too great on the road, but they've won a couple of games. It hasn't been too bad for them. So I want to see them at least split this road trip, go 2 for 2. And just come back just with some confidence, because we're still, I'm not pushing the panic button. We're still up there, in the standings, obviously, as Josh mentioned. I'm not worried. Like I said, playing with house money. I want to beat the Panthers. It's just embarrassing. I'm tired of listening to people yell about that, greatest team ever last year. Everyone's still giving me crap for that one. The non-hockey fans, just because I made them watch it or whatever. We had to watch the Bruins. Everyone said this is the greatest team ever, greatest team in the regular season. They lose to the Panthers like that in that type of fashion. I'm just looking to get right with that, Josh. I'm looking to get right mentally with that. I think this Bruins team can do it. So I'm excited for that, and just got some good Boston sports right now, Josh. Celtics, Bruins. Let's go. Let's forget about the Patriots. Let's focus on that.
100%, Ben. I mean, it really all matters in the playoffs. Hockey, similar to baseball. I mean, hockey, anything can happen. How many times has a team won the President's Cup and then absolutely just completely dropped off in the playoffs? It happens too many times. And I think just
I don't want it, Josh. Sorry, I don't want it again.
A lot of Bruins fans, a lot of diehards. Tyler's been saying that too. I've been thinking that as well. I just, as Jeff mentioned, not lackluster, but I want to go into the playoffs with some confidence, and I want to go into the playoffs kind of the way the Bruins started the season at the beginning of the year. You're going to have your lulls, as you mentioned. And even as Nick DeVos came in here and mentioned too, let's get more shots on net. Let's play aggressive. Let's go back to that Bruins hockey, that style of Bruins hockey that when we were winning games earlier in the season. As mentioned, though, to kind of calm my panic down a little bit, or my bad thoughts about the Bruins, we are still first in the Eastern Conference, and we still do have a pretty good lead in terms of the wild card and reaching a playoff berth. I think we'll get in there for a bridge year, or a lot of people quote it as a bridge year after arguably the best year in Bruins franchise regular season history. They're doing pretty well. They lost a lot of their heart and soul in guys like Krejci, guys like Bergeron, as you mentioned, and even moving on from guys like Tuukka Rask 3 or 4 years ago where we thought, all the chips were kind of pushed in. They needed to do it. I think we're right where we need to be. As you mentioned, kind of forgot about the Red Sox, forgot about the Patriots in Boston. It's the Bruins, and it's the Celtics time. And hey, a little concerned, but I think they're going to turn it around. And this next 4-game stretch here is going to show a lot, Ben. Anthony Scarfer coming in. Bees, good team. Not tough enough to make a serious run, and I love the Bees. Hopefully he's wrong on that one, Ben. I mean, history says he's not. He's seen, as you mentioned, we've seen the Canadians come back, we've seen the Panthers come back, we've seen the Flyers down 3-0. I
Worst
mean,
one.
we've seen so much. Reverse squeegee, as Zach says there. Not a sweep, it's a squeegee. Down 3-0. We've seen many things happen for the Bruins, but hopefully we don't see that with this season. Other than that, Ben, we're going to throw in a quick little college football thing here because we got a little time on Timeout Talks. Earlier today, the board met and there has been a lot of complaints. I mean, this is coming from a very casual viewer like me. I mean, I'll get the NCAA video game. I'll toy around a little bit. I'll watch some of the
There we
bowl
go.
games. I'll get into the playoff football, but something had to change, Ben. And hey, it might be that playoff format is changing to 12 teams. Personally, I think that it's something that they should do. It gets more interesting. Get some young teams in there. Not the same 4 teams. I do like the fact that, it kind of was... It's weird. Every team was like 13-0, 14-0, but it really felt something once you get into the playoffs because you could be 13-1, you lose that one game to a ranked team, all of a sudden you fall out, you don't make the college playoffs, football play, whatever they call it. I think they needed to make a change. As weird as it sounds, yes, it held a lot of weight being one of those 4 teams to make it in. A lot of accomplishment, but every team being like 13-0, every team that's where I kind of lose it, and I lose it with the same 3 or 4 teams that make it in. I like it a lot. I think that this is a change that they're going to benefit from. And guess what? As much as we hate to say it, the players who go to the NCAA, a majority of them are going to go on to the NFL, where it is a 12 or 14 team playoff format. So I like this change. I think it'll bring more casual viewers in like myself. But let's hear it from the college football expert himself here, Ben.
Here we go. Lewis coming in here with the Bama. Bama doesn't really care about this one, Lewis. They're going to get in regardless. But yeah, Josh, it's they're calling it the 5+7 model. They're going to have the 5 top-ranked conference champions. From SEC, it's most likely going to be the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, and ACC champs. Getting that first four get a bye. Actually, I should say first 4 get a bye. Then that 5th seed, I think, doesn't get a bye. But first 4 seeds receive a bye. So the highest ranked teams from those conferences get those seeds, and then there's basically 7 at-large bids. So whoever's the next highest rankings. And as you mentioned, I think it's just going to do great wonders for college football. Going to get more people involved. Going to get more people watching it because, like you said, I mean, the NFL's 14. The college had to, they had to get up to the times. They had to get more teams in it to get everyone interested. People were so tired of seeing, the Bamas and, the Ohio States and all these regular teams get in there, same old matchups, Georgia's. So I think this is really going to do a great job for college football, get everyone more interested, create some interesting matchups and maybe even some better matchups than we're used to seeing. So, like I said, we're going to see probably the regular teams from those conferences get those bye seeds, but it's going to be great opportunities for teams like Cincinnati, who was undefeated a couple of years ago, and they snuck in at that 4th seed and had to play number 1 seed. I think I forget who it was, Bama, or it was one of the regular top schools, and they got steamrolled because of it. Now it gives them a chance to get a bye, play a different team, and have a better shot at it. So it gives a lot more advantages for some of these other teams that have never really had a shot. So, like I said, 7 at-large bids after the first top 5 teams from the conferences. So, if you're hanging around that 9 or 10 spot, your season's not totally over. You don't have the kids packing it in, getting ready for the draft. It's going to save that marketability too, Josh. Kids are going to start wanting to play in these bowl games a little more. You're going to see, these athletes play a little longer. Hopefully, knock on wood, nobody gets injured. They don't want to see them. These kids get injured. That's why they were kind of sending out these bowl games because they didn't really matter to them. Now it gives them meaning. Like I said, just don't want to get anybody injured in these extra games. But I think it's going to create some really cool matchups, and it's going to be great for college football. Fortunately for Bama, unfortunately for Lewis and all the Bama fans, I don't like seeing it, but they're going to still roll. It doesn't really affect them. But hey, hopefully the Gators can get going now too, Josh. Hopefully the Gators get back in it now because of this. So let's go Florida. I think this is great for college football.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. I mean, you see a lot of players, as you mentioned. I mean, that's a point I didn't even think about. A lot of players now are gonna want to play. It's not those same schools, you know. I think it can add interest to it. I mean, look at how many times, you know, just even throughout the regular season that we see, you know, a top dog get upset. I think that this is perfect. Adds a little bit more spice to it. And again, most, I know it's not professionals, I get that, but most of the, you know, it competes with the professionals, especially down
Oh,
south.
yeah.
You know, all down south. I mean, they get
They like it
crazy
better.
for it, and they'll probably like it even better now with 12 teams making it in. And guess what? If that 12 team gets annihilated by the fourth seed, it is what it is. I mean, it makes it better, Ben. I think it's better for the casual fan like me, and it's the direction that I think college football has to go in. On the other hand, here, an interesting little direction. The NBA All Star Weekend just wrapped up. I mean, in I mean, how many people, you know, at my job, online, just reading, like, oh, hey, did you catch the NBA All Star Weekend? No, I didn't really check it out. You know, so many
Didn't know
people.
it.
I mean, just the marketing from it. I mean, I didn't even know who was in the 3-point contest. I mean, I am a diehard NBA guy. I am a diehard sports fan. I didn't know what was going on. I thought the 3-point contest was just the Sabrina Ionescu, I can't pronounce her name, versus Steph Curry. I thought that
You
was a
got that
cool
right.
idea. All for that. Very close game. Shout out Steph Curry. Shout out Sabrina. Great matchup. I know a lot of people were poo-pooing on it. I thought it was great. Cool little, interesting little switch there to add. Same with Jaylen Brown in the dunk contest. All for it. Add some stars to it. But again, it's just lacking a lot, Ben. I mean, I didn't even. It took me and my coworker today 5 minutes to figure out who won the 3-point contest. Like that should not happen. I think the NBA All Star Game too. I mean, putting up 200 points. These guys are just jacking up threes from half court. It literally looks like me and Ben and a couple guys are literally just strolling into the courts in Waltham and we're just taking shots up in a pickup game that we've already been playing for 12 hours and we're exhausted. I mean, a lot has to change. I like the ideas that have been kind of floated around a little bit with, you know, maybe they add some meaning to the All-Star game. I don't know, if the Eastern Conference wins, then, you know, they get home court advantage. The Western Conference wins, they do. I'm okay with that. I'm all for that. You know, add a little bit more flair to the NBA dunk contest instead of just bringing out another teammate and dunking over them. I mean, they have to get a little bit creative here, Ben. It's to the point where even players are kind of calling it out. I think the fans have kind of realized. I know the All-Star weekend for a lot of the sports teams now stinks. Look at the NFL. It's flag football, for Christ's sakes. And I get that. You want to protect the players. I'm cool with that. But something's got to change in the NBA All-Star weekend. Like, in the All-Star game, let's make it interesting like it used to be when guys like Kobe, LeBron, they had those matchups. All those highly anticipated matchups. The NBA All-Star Weekend was actually worth something. Now, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to figure out who's even competing in the 3-point contest, which I've always loved more than the dunk contest. So I don't know, Ben. I mean, maybe to each their own. Maybe they got to do some type of thing to kind of tweak it a little bit, the format. But it is really bad when you don't even know what's going on, and a lot of people you're asking, including the NBA players, are calling you out on your own product.
Perfectly said, Josh. Yeah, one of them, Anthony Edwards, just had a couple points right there at the end of it. That's what he said. He said, "There's no reason for me to be competitive in this. Why would I be competitive?" And this is his first one of his first All-Star games. I believe it's either first or second. I should probably know that one, but besides the points, you know, he's already done with it. He's the young guy. He's the young guy. He's supposed to be out there having fun. You know, not putting his body out there. I'm not saying, you know, go out there and, you know, kill yourself like it's a regular NBA game. But no, like you said, I mean, another point for you, just the Kobe matchups. You know, Kobe would take on anybody. Kobe would love, you know, just taking on some of these all-stars. He doesn't get to play too often, you know, as much. And he would go after him. Everybody was going after, you know, each other, and that was kind of just the mindset. You know, I hate to sound like the old guy, Josh, too, but I mean, it's
Truth,
just
though.
right.
It's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. We're running out of excuses, and it's just becoming the truth now. Nobody wants to play anymore. They're just tired of the back-to-backs. They're just, you know, the NBA players are just tired. You know, they don't want to do this, especially with a game that has no meaning or is not going to affect them in any way. You know, why put themselves out there? Just another perfect example, LeBron. LeBron's been Just harboring that ankle injury, that left ankle injury, and he only played 8 minutes in the first half, and he just he put up like 8 points. He just 8 or 14 points, and he just went crazy. They just let him score, but I mean, it's just why are you going to play in this game? It doesn't mean anything. You're putting up 200 points and 100 cats dropping. I don't even know cats dropping 60 points. It's just wild and as you mentioned, no defense. I mean, some of these plays are just, I mean, Luka missing that alley oop. I don't know, I missed that alley oop, but uh, it's cool. I like when they're pulling up from, pretty far distance game. And Halliburton had a couple nice threes like that. That's cool. Hey, you don't need to play defense for that, but play a little, maybe play a little defense. Got to show a little effort, but I think ultimately, Josh, is just, this is a good one too. NBA, there was a lot of, sort of blares with this All-Star game, I think, that we can get into. I think it's just, honestly, it's just tough. It's just really, there's no solution. I know you point out, let's, have it mean something for the finals, like much like the MLB does. That's a great one too, but I think that would be the closest thing to do. There's really just nothing I can think of. They tried, this fourth quarter scoring system these past couple of years. I was glad they got rid of that. I'm glad they brought in all these new, the old school uniforms again, the East and West. Picking players like that. That was cool. So that gave me a little excitement for it. Not gonna lie, I didn't really watch it. I wasn't that, it wasn't that excited. Like they haven't been putting on a good show in many years, so they haven't really got my attention yet. But I was excited for that, but it was just no defense. There's just got to be a way to make this a little better. There's got to be something, but it's just at this point, it's just kind of getting tough to figure out. And like you said, I'm glad you brought that up too. I mean, it took me quite a while to figure out who won the 3-point contest at it. I kind of thought that was bizarre. Shout out Dame. He had a nice little clutch one over Trey. I think he won it on like a little buzzer beater on the last sort of rack. But yeah, that one kind of disappoints me. I wasn't going to go with you say it was over the dunk contest. I kind of looked at those as the same growing up. I mean, I always loved those two. And the skills competition, shout out to the Pacers. I kind of loved all. I mean, I loved, the whole, the all-star events, all-star weekend. It was great, seeing all these, ones, but it's just kind of lost its lore. And, I'm saving this for the dunk contest. I don't know what Jaylen was doing. Don't, and no one's listen, I love Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's one of my favorite Celtics, but don't give me that dunk over Kai Cenat. I don't know. I don't know what was that. I've never seen something just that weak in a dunk contest. I mean, that guy's like 5'1", and he's sitting down and he dunks over him. He doesn't even cool. I know he did it was like an homage to, I don't know, it was Cam Newton or something. They got the Boston thing over it, but that was one of the worst dunks I've ever seen in a dunk contest. And I don't even know how he made it to the next round. Even to Matt McClung. I mean, can we let this guy play in an NBA game? He's putting his heart out there in the dunk contest, but it really seems like that's his only thing. But he was one of the big positives of the weekend too. I mean, he had a couple of great dunks. I mean, he dunked over Shaq. He had a couple of nice little dunks in between against that point, but yeah, I didn't want to hear from the Celtics fans. I saw a couple of tweets like that. That was awful from Jaylen. I didn't like any of his dunks. I was excited. Another guy I'm excited for, first All Star since 2017 to participate in the dunk contest, and he jumps over Kai Cenat. Like, come on, what are we doing? What is this? He's got to give me something better than that. So I just want to shout out Matt McClung too. He took it seriously. He took it down. It's really his only thing he's doing right now, but he took it seriously. He shows out for it every time. So shout out to Matt McClung for that.
I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, and even I was saying too, it feels like whoever they're bringing out there, I mean, it could be Taylor Swift and they're dunking over Taylor Swift. Like, that's kind of just what it is. It's just it's just who they're bringing out there to dunk on or dunk over. And as you mentioned, very, very good point. I was even thinking about this earlier in my car. I'm like, I'm glad, because I was thinking, like, what could they do? I know some people saying, maybe they do the kind of like baseball where they do, and I mentioned, whatever side wins, then you get, 7 games in the NBA Finals, which is very important. I mean, that's important. I think that would help a little bit. It would help spice it up a little bit. But I mean, I'm so glad they got away from like the Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. I like the East versus the West, as you mentioned. Same old school jerseys. I liked where you would wear your team's jersey with like a little bit of spice on it. That was kind of cool. Even though they make it like NBA All-Star Edition, they should go back to that. But I mean, everybody nitpicks everything. I'm not too nitpicking that, but yeah, the scoring thing, like the target to get over for the third and the fourth. I mean, they were trying, but it's not working. It's something that is just kind of a dying breed in the NBA. Is the All Star Weekend, and I mean the fact that I'm already over here looking at the time. Like I mean, there's not even much left to talk about on it because it was so underwhelming, and I completely forgot about the skills competition, and that was something I used to look forward to as well as a kid growing up. It was one of the best ones. So as you mentioned, I mean, shout out to Indiana for hosting it, but it's got to come a long way to get back to where it was. And I mean, I'm already kind of looking forward to who the Celtics are going to play next. And I mean, Jeff Warren making a good point here. Adam Silver was pissed. I heard about that. I heard he was not thrilled with the product as well. And I mean, he's leaving me, you, and Ben kind of just. I'm ready to see the Celtics on Thursday. That's pretty much what I have to say for that.
Yeah, he said he was congratulating the East. He said, "Yeah, here's the trophy to the East champs. They scored more points." That's basically what he said. Kind of dropped the mic there, and yeah, I mean it's frustrating for him. As you pointed out, they've tried a bunch of these things, scoring, third quarter, fourth quarter scoring things, systems, new teams, picking your own players, and so you can't fault Adam Silver for trying. But it's just another key wording from you. It's just it's a dying breed, I think. Just these All-Star games. You mentioned it all the way in the beginning too. The NFL one. I mean, that was great once upon a time. I mean, the Sean Taylor hit on the punter. Everyone remembers that, and you have these iconic moments. Talk about those jerseys. I love when those jerseys were out and they had the players' helmets. They still do, but I mean, I don't know. Just hit different back in the day. Maybe we're getting old, Josh, but I just feel like these All-Star games are a dying breed, and Nick DeVos bringing out. Yeah, maybe they should try something in the NHL All-Star game. They could. I don't know if that will work with the NBA one, but I mean, it's worth a shot. They got to try something because they're running out of options, Josh. They're running out of options, and just the 200 to 180 is not good luck. It's just, I mean, there's just literally no defense. You see some of the highlights. Like I said, I didn't watch it. I watched the skills one, a little bit of the dunk, some of the three, not really. But yeah, it's probably my favorite part was the skills competition. Seeing all those, as Josh mentioned, it was one of our favorite parts. Seeing all these different teams, come up, play against each other. Halliburton had a nice little halftime shot to win it for him, so that was cool and everything. That was probably the most exciting one. It's just lacking it, Josh. It's just not there anymore. I'm gonna hate to keep going back to this factor. It just might be maybe we're just too old. Maybe we just don't get it. Maybe these guys just don't want to play anymore. They just don't want to play in this All-Star game. And I think much like the NFL one, it's going to become pretty obsolete now. It's probably I think everyone's just going to be looking forward to the dunk contest and all those ones, and pretty soon those will go away because if I see more performances like Jaylen Brown, I'm not watching. I kind of like how they get some of these G leaguers in there. They had Obi Toppin's brother in there. Obviously, Matt McClung we brought up, back-to-back champs. It's good to get some of these guys' names out. I kind of like that route, maybe. Get some of these younger guys get their names out there. Maybe they'll bring it a little more. Obviously, saw Matt do it. They don't get their chance too often, so maybe give it their chance to shine right now. Get their name out there. It gives them a little more gives them a little more just will to play. It's just you gotta find something. You gotta find something over here because pretty soon I'm not gonna watch the whole weekend, Josh. I'll just watch the highlights. Just tell me who won it all. But I forgot to mention too that I know you mentioned. I think that the Steph or Sabrina one was either the best one besides the skills. That was actually good, competitive. Steph with the late win, and that's all we're asking for. Those two just were competitive. You could see they actually wanted to win it. That's all we're asking for. Don't go out there kill yourselves, but make it a little competitive showing. But the NBA's got a big problem on their hand with this All-Star game, Josh. No solutions in sight.
100%, 100%. I mean, I think one of the easiest solutions would be to have it so the Eastern Conference, Western Conference, they have something to play for. Like, all right, the Eastern Conference wins. Whoever that team is, they have the finals advantage.
I know he's getting this $2 million.
Jeff Warren, give the winner of each competition $2 million and the winner of the game home court advantage for the finals, and it'll get exciting again. Yeah, I mean, money does talk. But
$2 million.
$2 million for each competition. That'd be interesting if they had some money. I mean, hey, they've got some. they've got some revenue somewhere maybe that they could
Yeah.
give. But moving on from the NBA All-Star Weekend, let's talk about the Celtics. Your Celtics, our Celtics, 6 games up in the whole Eastern Conference. Whole Eastern Conference. So if we did do, for the Western versus Eastern for the home court advantage, and the Celtics finished with one of the best records, and they didn't get it, that would stink. But aside from that, we don't have to worry. Celtics are 6 games ahead of the Cavs, who Ben was showing some love to, in this nice little week till we're back. They've got 2 interesting matchups, and then followed by another interesting matchup. They've got the Bulls on Thursday, 8 o'clock, followed by the Knicks on the road, and then they come back home to play the 76ers next Tuesday, Ben. I want to see a nice, rested Celtics team after this All-Star weekend. We've seen all the trades. I want to see how they adjust to the Knicks. I know Julius Randle's kind of injured and out right now. But again, I don't want to see the Celtics get complacent. I want to see them do the opposite of what the Bruins did. Bruins after the All-Star weekend, losing 4 of their last 5, kind of shaky. I think the Celtics need to come off on the right foot, beat down on this very middled Bulls team, go in, beat this Knicks team that's trying to show some emergence. I mean, they are, third and fourth in the conference right now. 10 games out from you. That doesn't really matter. They're probably not going to catch up to you. But aside from that, come out of this NBA All-Star weekend nice and refreshed. I want to see what they can do, and I want to see a nice clean sweep here, Ben. Beat the 76ers. I know guys like Tyrese Maxey give us a hard time. They have no Embiid. Again, I want to see the Celtics. Don't get complacent. Don't play down at the competition, because they are famous for that, Ben. They are very famous. We saw, hence that loss to the Lakers a little bit earlier, a couple of weeks ago. You're kind of scratching your head like they didn't even have LeBron or AD. It's what they do, but aside from that, let's see what they can do against those 3 teams, and then it gets a little interesting after that. The week after that, following, it's the Mavericks at home, Warriors at home, and then on the road against the Cavs. So they've got they've got a kind of mellow set to start, and then it gets interesting for the next 3 games.
Good point there with the Austin Reeves game. That's why I'm going to title that Lakers game. I thought that one was pretty wrapped up. I think we were like 1,000 money line. That was pretty rough to watch, but that was a good point. I don't think we're going to fall into that trap. I think it's sort of going to be the difference in where the Bruins are at and the Celtics at for coming off these All-Star breaks. As you mentioned, the Bruins dropping 4 out of 5. Now, a little younger team, I think the Celtics are going to show their poise, show their maturity. I don't think they're going to miss a beat. Even though I don't like everyone anointing us the best team in the league. I don't like that. I don't like when everyone's giving us that consensus. I like to be a little down. I like to be a little down on this team.
Be a little nervous.
Exactly. I don't exactly just sort of fall into that Bruins trap. Everyone says you're the best. You're this, you're that. And then you let it get to your head a little. But I don't think this Celtics team's going to do that. I think the Celtics team's too talented for this. I'm excited for them to just get off this break. Me and Josh talked a little before the show too. A little rough without the NBA. I'd like to get the NBA back. Love having the NBA on. I get something every night. But I think the Celtics are going to start off strong. I think look at this win over the Heat. Keep going. To be honest, Josh, I'm a little more focused on some of these other teams. The Bucks. I mean, everybody said the Bucks were going to be this biggest challenge, but I mean, ever since Doc Rivers came into town, 3-7. Again, outscored by their opponents at least. It was stats 10.8. I'll round up to 11 points per game. And losing to the Grizzlies. I mean, we talked about our Lakers loss. I mean, lost to the Grizzlies right before All-Star break. Kind of interested to see your thoughts on that team, see what's going on with them, because you were back at them a little. I was back at my 76ers, even though I jumped ship. So I'm going to be right behind you. I did jump ship and say the Bucks were the biggest threat. I threw the Cavs in there too now, but it's just interesting to see what you think on that one. And we got to get to Zach's comment, because we can't leave Zach and his Pelicans, unnoticed. Yeah, I'd love to see Zach in a little Musty City playoff game. It'd be great for them. I mean, hey, Zion's finally turning it on. I mean, if Zion can play like this, Ingram, McCollum, they've been doing their thing all season. You know what those guys can do. They've got the depth. I love Jose Alvarado. I forget his name, Herb Jones, or a kid from Alabama. He's pretty good depth guy. Nice little big man shooter. But I mean, if Zion can play like this, he's just been. I've seen a couple of games where he's just dominating. He's just, he's been doing what he did at Duke and doing what he did in his rookie season when he didn't get hurt or those weight issues. Sorry, Zach. It slipped that in there. And Zion, he's just too talented. He's showing you when he's healthy and when he's fully motivated and when he's fully engaged in the game. He's one of the best in the NBA, and he's got that potential to be. I think it was against the Clippers. I ruined my parlay. That's why I was watching the game. But I mean, he was just taking to him. I mean, that's one of the premier teams, and he was getting to that basket with ease against Kawhi and players of that defensive caliber. So, I'm not knocking Zach. I know we usually knock Zach for his Pelicans takes on this one, but I think the Pelicans got a solid team over there, and I think they can do some damage in the West. I'm not saying go all the way, maybe playoff series or two. Maybe get a couple wins in that second playoff series, but I'm like what I'm seeing from the Pelicans. But overall, I kind of got off on that one, Josh. But overall, Celtics are fine. What about the Bucks?
Yeah, we got Zach in Zion. We trust to bring the championship to the musty city.
Give him his time.
I'll answer you on the Bucks in a second, but yeah, I mean, to Zach's thing here, they're sixth. I mean, this is a team that, and you said it perfectly. I know we agree on a lot of things, but I couldn't agree with you on this anymore. We know Brandon Ingram's going to step up. We know CJ McCollum's going to do his thing. He's been pretty underrated there as well. He's stepped into a nice little role there. Jonas Valanciunas, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, those nice little defensive guys who gave the Lakers kind of a run for their money a couple seasons ago in that play-in. Kind of that's when they got their notice. But it all comes down to one guy, and that is Zion Williamson. Is he going to step up? Is he going to play to that potential that he was anointed? I think we're finally starting to see that, Ben. In the West, this is good news for Zach. It's kind of up for grabs. The Warriors are kind of shaken. The Jazz have completely fell off. The Kings are still a young team. The Nuggets, maybe they've still got some championship hangover question marks. Timberwolves are a young team. I'm still not sold on them. Thunder, same thing. The Suns just cannot figure it out with all that talent. Their bench worries me a little bit. I think that this is the time if the if the Pelicans were going to go all in, maybe they could have made a trade. They didn't. Aside from that, maybe they can make some noise happen, get a 5th, 4th seed. It's very tight there. From even 1 to all the way down to 5. It's very, very close, all within 6-5 games. But moving it back over here to the Bucks, to the Eastern Conference, with the Celtics being the biggest threat to the Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, that is. I still think that they are, Ben. It's a team that worries me. I think they'll figure it out. I do agree with you and James as well. James mentioning earlier today as well. It seems like Doc Rivers is always kind of blaming everybody else but himself. That's a good point as well. There have been a lot of teams that he's had completely choke playoff series, and they don't want to see that happen for the Bucks. I think that this Bucks team is too talented. I think the minimum bar is for them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and this is it. Finally, this is it, Damian Lillard. This is your team. This is a team that's established. I mean, they've won a ring with some of their core. Majority, 3 of their starting 5 guys they've won a championship with, and that's Giannis, that's Chris Middleton, and Brook Lopez. So now or never for the Bucks. I'm still not worried, Ben. I still think that they're okay for seeding, but I'll still anoint them. I'll still say that they're our biggest threat, and the defense does scare me a little bit, but when you have a big 3 like that, I think that they can make some noise. So the Bucks, I'm not too worried about them. We're getting towards the end of the show here, so as always, I'm going to turn it over to Ben. But I'm going to end it with this. Bruins, let's turn it around. Let's win our next 3 games I want to see. In the Celtics, let's come out of the NBA All-Star Weekend nice and refreshed, not complacent.
As always, another great show. Shout out to the comments. Rob, Zach, Jeff, Chi, Nick DeVos in there. Everybody's in there today. Just want to shout out everybody for that as always. We're going to continue Bruins Celtics talk. We'll throw some more NFL in there. We got to give the NFL a little break. We'll get back to it soon. I've been seeing some interesting things with the franchise tag. We'll get into it today. That period started, so we'll get into that a little more next week. But yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet, Josh. Go Celtics and Bruins.